Hi students, and welcome to Spring 2020 QuickBooks Online. This is your professor, Professor Lackmeyer, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to welcome you to class and go over a few of the requirements for this course, as well as kind of getting you started in the different software we will be using. So when you first log in, hopefully you landed here because you read my welcome message, and you might have even started reading through the course information and getting started. So those are the first items you want to do, is actually go through this first part on Canvas over course information and getting started. It will have important information regarding what software we'll be using, my contact information, grading policies, how to get the textbook or ebook, as well as completing the first assessment, which is your syllabus quiz. So all of that right here, make sure you go through all of that, as well as read the syllabus, which you can always get from the left-hand links right here. Okay, so you can click on syllabus and access that at any time. I just broke out some of the more important information here so you'd easily be able to access it. So this course does use a little different technology than probably some of the other accounting courses you're more familiar with. If you took the Excel accounting in the last couple of semesters, then we are still using the Labyrinth, their eLab system for this course. So if you've taken that, then you may already be familiar with it. But for those of you that are new to Labyrinth, I just wanted to go over a few things. So that's kind of the biggest thing in this course, is really using different softwares. So, you know, most of your accounting courses, you just use like Connect or Cengage and, you know, the ebook, and that's pretty much it. But since this is QuickBooks, you will be actually using the QuickBooks Online version. So the good part of that is you can access that software from anywhere you have Wi-Fi connection. So from any computer, any location. So you don't have to be on your personal computer to access your QuickBooks Online. And the other good news on that is you get a free 1-year student account with QuickBooks Online. So you don't have to pay extra for the QuickBooks. Okay. So in this course, we'll be using Canvas, which of course is our campus-wide LMS. So you'll want to check into Canvas. I recommend you actually come through Canvas anytime you're doing any work, so you can check for announcements. You'll want to look over your grades on Canvas, because this is where your official grades will be. So don't focus too much on the grades that are in the eLab system. I want you to look at grades here in Canvas. And you'll also have access to like PowerPoints over each chapter, as well as solution guides and just any other information I may post. Okay. Secondly, we will be using QuickBooks Online. So you don't want to get your QuickBooks Online account set up until you've completed Chapter 1 in the textbook. Chapter 2 in your textbook will walk you through the creation of your company in QuickBooks Online. So what you'll want to do, though, is there's a post in the Getting Started module that will walk you through getting access to your actual account. So go ahead and do your registration, and they'll send you an email with all the information to get started. But you can go ahead and register and then wait once you get that email until you're ready to start Chapter 2. Okay, so QuickBooks Online, you're going to start setting up your company following the instructions in Chapter 2, okay, in the content. So you'll want to go through all of Chapter 2, okay? QuickBooks Online is where you'll be doing the bulk of your work in this course. So you'll be going through and completing the end of chapter activities. You can go through and do the stuff within the chapters too, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But once you've followed the instructions, you'll be exporting reports and such, and those will be uploaded to the eLab system for grading. But the bulk of your work will take place in QuickBooks Online. Okay. The third thing you'll be using is the free test drive website. So this is provided by QuickBooks, and it's just a place for you to try out new concepts you've learned. So when you're going through your textbook, starting in Chapter 3, and even in Chapter 1, I think, there'll be develop your skills. Those will take place in the test drive, except for in Chapter 2 when you're setting up your company. So you'll go in and you can practice in there. Nothing gets saved. Okay, so you can just play around and, for instance, create a new client and be able to set that up, okay, and so practice it. So that is where you'll be doing your kind of practicing. These are not required, the developing your skills, except for in Chapter 2, when you're setting up your company again. But you know, it is good to kind of practice before you go into your actual company, because it's a little bit harder in QuickBooks Online if you make a mistake having to go back and fix it. So practice it first, and then you can do the actual work in QuickBooks Online for your end of chapter. So reinforce and apply your skills. And then lastly, again, we'll be using the eLab or Labyrinth online platform. So this is where you'll take chapter quizzes or chapter exams, and this is where you'll download any student exercise files that you'll need to complete the work. And as well, this is where you will submit all of your assignments for grading. Okay. If you purchased just the ebook, this is also where you'll access your ebook. So even if you didn't purchase the ebook, you should have access to the ebook. So we'll talk about that here in a minute as well. And I'll show you the eLab system so you can kind of get a look at it. So I kind of put on here, and I want to just re-emphasize how important it is in this course that as you're working through the book, it is a step-by-step process. So at first, it'll step you through the exact steps to complete something. However, QuickBooks Online is a live program, so it is getting updates pretty frequently. So there may be times that the textbook doesn't match up identically to QuickBooks Online. There's nothing we can really do about this. They can't keep republishing every month as QuickBooks makes changes. However, we do use the most recent version, so hopefully it'll line up pretty well. So things may look a little different. If you ever run into any problems, just email me. You can always screenshot something, what you're seeing, and I can help you with it. If you invite me as an accountant, which I'll provide instructions on that here in a little bit in the course, I will have access to log into your QuickBooks so I can see exactly what you're seeing. It helps me help you much easier. Okay. I recommend working ahead. All the chapters are open, all the work is open. So you can start now and just knock out a lot of it. That way, if you get stuck or you run into problems or something comes up, you're not behind and pressed for time. Okay. The most important thing is, if you run into a problem, don't move on to the next chapter. Okay, if you have an error or something's not working right, your check figures don't line up, or you didn't receive a 100% on your assignments in eLab, that's the time that you need to stop and look and try to find the error. If you can't, again, if you've invited me as an accountant, or you can at that point, I can get in and help you find that error, and we can fix it. It'll be so much easier to fix it in the chapter that you're working in. It'll be easier to identify what went wrong than if we move on and 3 chapters later, you know, we're trying to fix something and we don't know what chapter the error was in. Okay. The solution guides are all posted on Canvas, here in Canvas. So hopefully you might even be able to find your own error, just comparing what you did to the actual solution. So it's always, that's why I post those, for you to help you find your errors. But again, sometimes it's easier for me to find errors because, well, I work in QuickBooks a lot more, and I've taught this class a few, 5 years. So I can usually find that, okay? And then the last big thing that for this course is the eLab grading system. It does auto-grade a lot of your assignments, but things can be counted wrong because it is computer-generated grading, okay? So if you think you got it correct and it counted you off for something and you don't understand the feedback, shoot me an email. I'll take a look at it and see what's going on. It will count off for spellings. It will count off if you have like perhaps the wrong header or you ran the report for the wrong dates. So, just kind of don't get too frustrated if it's very picky, okay? We can work through it. So just let me know, send me an email if you need any help with that. Okay, so that's kind of the meat of what I wanted to go over. It's like the most important parts of this course. Again, I'll go over the syllabus really quickly, just as far as I want to hit what's required of you. Okay. So the syllabus quiz is your first assignment due January 29th. You need to pass that with 100% by the due date. You have unlimited attempts to get that correct. Otherwise, you will be administratively withdrawn from the course. So make sure you knock that out. Again, you'll want to do your registration for your free QuickBooks Online, which that's posted elsewhere here. I'll show you in a minute. And then as far as what you're responsible for turning in, reinforce your skills and apply your skills are all end of chapter work. Okay, so those will all be completed in your textbook in the QuickBooks Online platform, and then you'll be submitting that through eLab, which I'll show you here in a minute. Those have different points depending on how much work the different reports are. But the reinforce your skills are easier. They're practicing, that's 15%. Apply your skills are your end of chapter, like harder, less instructions, so 40%. And then at chapter 6 is a special chapter where you're just doing deliverables. So what you're doing throughout is like working several days worth of transactions without the hand holding of the rest of the chapters. But you can still go back and look at the previous chapters to figure it out. So you get a little extra time to get that work in. That can be a little tricky at times. So, you know, just take it slow and work through it. 15%. And then your chapter exams are worth 25%. Those are also in eLab. So as you can see, the syllabus quiz will be submitted through Canvas. Everything else will be submitted through eLab. All the dates are here in Canvas and in the calendar, and they're all in eLab as well. As far as chapter work goes, I give you a week grace on all your chapter work, just in case you run into any problems or you submit something, make a 75 and want to fix it for, you know, lower, whatever. And that way you have some extra time. Chapter exams will not be accepted late, but I do drop your lowest exam. And all that information is here. Just thought I would briefly mention it. If you do fall behind and you need a little extra time, just shoot me an email and I can extend some work for you. My dates are really more to keep you on track for finishing the course in time. But again, if you want to work ahead, please work ahead, you know, knock stuff out and you can get done early. There's nothing that will hold you from being done. There's no final exams. You don't have to worry about anything like that. The chapter exams are multiple choice, true, false, that sort of thing, matching. You can use your textbook or ebook. So really, you know, they're not like super difficult, okay? And that information is listed here. I'm going to go back to the homepage. Your textbook information is in the Getting Started here, so you can read through that. You have the option of purchasing the hardbound textbook with the eLab access, or the ebook, which is the code that they usually will email you if you purchase it through Labyrinth, or they'll put on your receipt at the bookstore if you purchase it through them. You just must have the eLab access. I don't think you'll be able to find a used copy of this textbook, as it just was published for this semester, because we have to stay current with the Quickbooks. But if you were, you would have to purchase the eLab access as well. So your most economical choice is the ebook with the eLab access, but that can be a challenge, I won't lie, if you don't have like 2 screens or something, because you're going to be following the steps in the book to complete in Quickbooks Online on the computer. So if you have access to, you know, 2 monitors, or, you know, a separate tablet or something to pull up the ebook on your phone or tablet while you're doing the work on the computer, that would work great with the ebook. Otherwise, you'll be doing a bunch of flipping back and forth, which can be kind of a hassle. So sometimes with this course, the textbook with the eLab access is easier to navigate, okay? I do provide you a link here where you can purchase directly from eLab, okay? It will be a little bit cheaper than through the bookstore. I also have how you need to register, so your student registration in Canvas link is right here as well. They do have the free 2-week trial like you see with Canvas, or sorry, Cengage or Connect or any of those. So you can go ahead and get started before you purchase access as well. If you wanted to do that, you can really click on any link here, like the chapter test or chapter 2, reinforce your skills. Any link that has an assignment associated with it, any assignment link will take you in for the registration process, okay? So I think that's the main bulk of what I wanted to go over. I'm just going to show you eLab, just for those that aren't familiar. This is the instructor access, but it should look pretty similar. I'm on the assignments tab, so I came in through eLab, my courses. This should probably be your only class in this. And all the assignments, the due dates, and the late submission dates are all listed here. Anything that says QG by it is auto-graded, so you'll be able to view your report and everything. So again, these are all the homework assignments you'll be completing from the textbook in Quickbooks Online, and you're just uploading your Excel or your Excel assignment, okay? If I click on view on this first one, for example, it tells you the due date, the points, everything like that, okay? And you should have a way to submit. Mine looks a little different since I'm the instructor. On the quick graded ones, it also has an assignment file there. If you open that up, what that is instructions on how to export a report. So exporting QuickBooks reports to Excel, so it kind of walks you through different web browser versions of how to do that so you can save reports and upload them to eLab. Okay. So I'm on the assignments tab. If I click on the test tab, that's where my chapter exams are. Okay. So you'll be completing the chapter tests, chapter 1, chapter 2, so forth. Again, due dates are listed here, and you can always view your results when you're finished. And these quizzes that are down here are for extra practice. They are not worth any points. I just leave them there in case you want to practice, especially if you choose to take the QuickBooks Certified User exam. That can be a good way to practice. Okay. I'm going to click on my courses really quickly so you can see. If you land on this page, again, you should just have one class here. But I'm in the QuickBooks Online Spring 2020. I can get to my ebook from here. You can view as learner too, that might be a little easier. Okay, this would be more what you would see. So here's your course. If you click on content, it has in here all the chapters. So if I was to show that, you have your chapter objectives, your PowerPoint, any videos, and then links to those little quizzes that were in the test link. Over here on the left-hand side is navigation. This is where student exercise files, if you click that, this is where you will download. Notice it automatically did to a zip file for me. You want to save these to the computer that you'll be working on. So I pull those over. You want the student exercise files. So you will need those to complete some of the work. So you can just extract two and say, I'm just going to go to the desktop so it's easy. Click OK. Okay. And so that should have saved to my desktop. Student exercise files. And so now I have these. Chapter 1 doesn't use any. Chapter 3, so you have a couple of Excel files that you'll need to use within QuickBooks. So just make sure you save those to your computer, somewhere that you can easily access, My Documents, desktop, wherever you want to save them. So make sure you save those before you get started. I think that's about it. That really walks you through. Again, from here, I can click on assignments and get back into the eLab where I have a list of all my assignments. Okay. So again, just to recap, just be really mindful of if you have errors or something doesn't match, because usually in the textbook as you're working through, you'll have check figures, so you can compare your numbers to the textbook before you move on. And then of course a lot of reports are auto-graded, so you'll get feedback immediately letting you know if what you've done is correct. So just be mindful of that. Look through the solution guides. For example, here in Unit 1, which is Chapters 1 and 2, you have access to the PowerPoint, a link to the first test, which is really all you have to do in Chapter 1, and the Chapter 1 solution guide. Chapter 2, a link to the PowerPoint, the work you'll be completing in QuickBooks Online and submitting in eLab, and again, the chapter test, and then the solution guide. So again, just email me or call me if you have any questions. I'm using Zoom to record this welcome video, so if we need to, we can always have a Zoom meeting where you can show me what you're seeing on your end, and I can help you a little bit easier that way. So otherwise, I hope you really enjoy it. I think it's a great course. You're going to learn some valuable hands-on, help with QuickBooks Online, and by the end, it will prepare you to take the test for the QuickBooks Certified User exam. So if you're interested in that, I will be posting more information on that exam. You do get a discounted price being a student. It's not required for this course, but it's a great certification, a nationally recognized certification that you can take with you to job interviews and things like that. So again, welcome, and I hope we have a great semester together.